Hello and welcome back to Movies and Beyond. I'm Callum. That is Callum. I've just realised how I'm going to say ridiculous, but we're pretty cool with the matching t-shirts.
Yeah, come on, let's bring it together.
Bring it together. Fuck off. Deadpool and Wolverine's coming out, hence the t-shirts, and we're doing this sort of mini-series, doing something a bit different for our channel, where we're going back and watching not all of the X-Men films.
Only the Hugh Jackman important ones and Ryan Reynolds important ones.
Yeah. So, first off, acting, casting, all around quite mixed to be honest. I think the casting was pretty good. You know, despite the film not being as great as it was. Ryan Reynolds is fantastic. Hugh Jackman reprising the role as Wolverine, obviously. Nailed it. The problems that I have with is they're not given a right lot of good direction with these characters. And that goes for all of the characters, including Wolverine, including Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of big issues with that.
So, obviously some notable castings is Liev Schreiber as Sabretooth. He's not amazing in this, but I think if he was give a better script, a better film, we would be talking about Liev Schreiber as Sabretooth today, like as top 10 best comic book castings, if the script were good.
Yeah.
If it worked well, because he really gets into it and he plays into it well. And I like the casting, and I liked it when I was younger. I did. Scared me a bit.
I think it's just the claws that are the stand out with his character. They're just so gnarly and gross. I mean, they kind of fit it with the kind of whole overall theme of the film, the kind of the vibe it gives off. Again, it's not the fault of the actor, of course. It's the writing.
Ryan Reynolds.
That being said, Ryan Reynolds, yes. He is fantastic in this film. Obviously, there is issues still there with the character, like we said. But, man, if there was anyone else cast in this role, it would have been terrible. This Deadpool would have been horrendous. But it's somewhat bearable, at least in the first couple of scenes we get of Deadpool.
Well, yeah, and he showed up, no script, just killed it.
Ryan Reynolds was offered to do this role, but he wasn't offered to do it in the way that he would have wanted to. Obviously, he knew the character, he knew that this isn't how Deadpool's supposed to be, but they said, listen, if you don't do it, we'll just get someone else. And I'm really glad that he did, because it was still fun to watch him on screen.
Even though the film's not great, I wouldn't necessarily say he's great in it, but he takes what he's got to work with and he makes the best out of a bad situation. One more I just want to mention is Taylor Kitsch Gambit.
Entertaining. Very entertaining.
Makes the best out of a bad situation with the casting.
Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, obviously still rocking the role as Logan. Despite this movie being very not so great, you know, it's still very entertaining to watch Hugh Jackman as Wolverine on screen. You can't take that away from him. This guy is Wolverine.
So, Kyle, overall, who's your favourite actor in this bad film?
Well, I would give it to, obviously, Hugh Jackman as Logan, but he's great in loads of other films. So I'm going to just take it away from him just for this one film. I'm going to give it to Ryan Reynolds. He nailed what he could with this character, did his best. Obviously, it wasn't his fault. There was, you know, he was restricted in a way, doing what he wanted to do and doing what people know would love about the character. Yeah. What about you? What about you?
Fucking hell, I don't know how we're going to guess who I'm picking. Hugh Jackman! I think he's the best part of this film. And it's why I watched it when I was younger. He is Wolverine. We only have one Wolverine, and it is Hugh Jackman. And that's why he's great in this. So, we're going to talk about the action in this film a bit. Some of the effects. Yes, indeed. Boy, let me tell you, does this film have some terrible effects. Not as good as what's going on here, I might add.
Yeah, this is high-level production.
This is high-level production.
That being said, obviously, there is some cool scenes in it. What's a standout scene for you?
Not the best scene in this film, but a standout scene would have to be Ryan Reynolds when they're coming up in the lift. I love the little discussion they're having beforehand. One thing I still quote in my daily life, whenever I get a chance to, is dreams really do come true. And that's when he's in the lift and he's like, I'm stuck in a lift with 9 men on a high protein diet. I guess dreams really do come true. Which then leads to a pretty cool scene when Deadpool runs out, he's chopping all the bullets up, he's spinning round, he's chopping people's heads off. He does that big weird jump and spin and stabs that guy and he's like, alright guys, you can come out, people are dead. Yeah, also going off these terrible effects, there's one that is dumb as fuck, and that is Agent Zero going up to the fence.
And then he does some sort of weird Matrix backflip gainer thing.
Yep, it's going across the screen right now.
It looks terrible.
It's
not good. You can clearly tell it was wire work. Feels like they just said, right, okay, one shot, this shot is fine, we're not going to reshoot it. Who was that one that was flying around the stadium? Oh, pink. Another thing with Deadpool and the cool bullet scene, is he a mutant before he gets the mutant powers at the end then? Is that how I'm reading it? Because no one is that skilled.
He's on the team, innit? He's on the team, so if he's on the team, he's a mutant. I'm guessing. Maybe. I don't know. But, ladies and gentlemen, without a doubt, the best effect in this movie has to be Gambit in the Gambit chopper. Now, I know what you're thinking. Gambit has a plane, not a chopper. No, the Gambit chopper is when he jumps off that roof and starts spinning his little fucking cane around and he's floating down to fight Wolverine. I know Kyle loves the Gambit chopper. I love the Gambit chopper.
Yeah. What if I put a stick in my hand and jump off a roof? That would probably work. So Logan gets his metal claws. I mean, the bone ones look okay. They use a lot of CGI to show off the metal claws. They're way too shiny. They look way too big. Yeah. They just don't look proportionate to, Hugh Jackman's hand, which I'm sure he has huge hands.
Huge hands.
Yeah. I feel like it gets worse. It's like they're running out of budget here, but they still need to show off these claws.
Yeah.
That being said, it still looks pretty cool when he escapes the Weapon X facility. It's not perfect. I mean, he claws his way out with the X. Say like, oh, this is an X-Men film. Here's a little Easter egg. It just kind of goes downhill with the claw effects. To be honest, it kind of goes downhill with all of the effects. But other than that, it's a pretty badass scene. I kind of like it.
Speaking of badass, we see some Jackman ass, and he runs over the field. He's like jumping over fences and he runs into the barn, and that, my friends, is the best scene in this film.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Following those events.
Yes, indeed. Following the events of him getting in the barn, he meets this lovely family, and then he gets them killed by Agent Zero. I don't know why they sent Agent Zero after him, though, after they literally just said they've made him... And then they go send someone with normal bullets to kill him. It leads to a big chase.
Which doesn't look that bad. It's passable, I guess, compared to the rest of the effects in the film. I did just say everything goes downhill. It still does. It's not getting any better. That being said, we do get a pretty cool... It's a little cheesy, the, explosion, walking away from it.
Walk away from explosions because we're cool.
Yeah.
Add the explosion.
With the claws, it's really weird how they sort of mess this up. It's a Wolverine movie. Clearly the main focus is obviously Wolverine getting the adamantium claws. Just how can they make it look worse than the previous X-Men films? It just doesn't make sense. I think they rely too much on the CGI. Yeah. I mean, even that being said, I've seen some behind the scenes stuff with the claws. It still doesn't look great. I just think it's the claws, the way they're sort of shaped. It's too bold.
Do you know what I think might have been one of the biggest problems with this? This came out in 2009. This is the year after Iron Man came out. They probably thought, we can do CGI claws. They did a full suit. We can do CGI claws. But Kyle, even though this is a bad film, there's still redeeming qualities. You got a favourite action scene in this?
Out of all of the effects and the action sequences, I think for me it has got to be just a very simple one. It's when Sabretooth just absolutely kills Will.i.am. I'm joking, by the way. I'm joking. I mean, it's cool, but...
We're saving that for the horny segment, because boy did that get me hard.
My actual favourite action scene is the Deadpool.
The Wolverine?
Is the Deadpool stuff at the beginning. When
I'm the Wolverine.
I keep having to redo that. Is the Deadpool stuff at the start when he's cutting through the bullets, he's cutting through the guys. It looks really good. Like, visually, it's very pleasing to watch. And it's a very short but nice bit of action that we get from Deadpool compared to what we get with Deadpool later. Which, again, it looks okay at the end, the whole fight sequence between all three of them. It's just the whole powers thing really throws me off and I can't focus on it. It's too much. What is your favourite action effect?
Wow, I'm so...
Scene.
Shut the fuck up. So, I'm going to disagree with you a bit. I know you've just been talking about how the action scene at the end with the Deadpool isn't as good as the one from the beginning. I really like the smokestack fight. It's dumb, fun, but I think if you've got to that point in the film, your brain's numb enough anyway. You're already turned off and it's just like, oh, lasers, swords and teleporting. So the plot devices in this, there's a lot that didn't work.
Yeah.
But there's some stuff we like.
One notable one, I must say, is the whole love dynamic between Logan and Silver Fox.
You thought that worked?
I thought it was terrible. It was shy.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
It was so
It wasn't even
bad.
cringy, it was just
Dumb.
I don't believe this. This seems like someone reading off a script.
It's almost like she manipulated him to fall in love with her powers of persuasion. The opening montage in this, it's cool. It's very cool, actually. If you just saw that and then didn't see the rest of the film, you're like, I want to see where this is going. I want to watch the rest of this film. The fighting through, the Civil War.
It hooks you in.
World War One, World War Two. They go to Nam, baby.
I think if they set the film in one of these time periods, it probably might have been a bit more interesting, but instead we got this really bleak and boring of time period where, like, okay, we've kind of already been through this with the X-Men films. You're not giving us a new time period, so to speak.
Yeah.
You could have done that with this film. Obviously, I get they wanted to do the adamantium claws and things like that. The adamantium claws aren't what make Logan Wolverine, or, you know, make the character likable and people want to watch this film. It's not that. It's just, we want great characters, we want great stories, and they could have probably told a really great story with this, but instead we got this shit.
Yeah.
With the whole plot of this film, I feel like it starts to break down the X-Men timeline. This is their first sort of misstep, I guess you could say, and it just keeps going in a completely different direction every film after this. Obviously, they tried to fix that with Days of Future Past, which is a fantastic film, by the way.
But they broke it right after with a film right after.
Yeah. It's X-Men films aren't known for their great consistency with the timeline and the plots and the stories. That being said, there's still some things that thread through here. I get it, they wanted to go into more depth with the X-Men 2 stuff. We've obviously got little hints of Stryker and Wolverine in that.
There was a southern accent there, kind of. Stryker Island.
Yeah, X-Men Origins
Stryker Island. Arr, let's get down to Stryker Island.
So go into the whole plot of this film with all the mutant powers, how they all sort of interact and play with each other. They don't. They just kind of say, oh, this character does this thing at this time, and this character does another thing at this time. There's no sort of leveled ground. There's no groundwork for this. A good example is at the start of the film, Blob just puts his hand down a tank, blows it up. He's indestructible. You know, you could have just sent him in and absolutely soloed the mission. There was no need for the rest of them. Especially Sabretooth, when all he did was just fuck off up the roof. Another thing too is with Gambit, obviously he's out here, he's not making himself sort of anonymous after escaping the island. And he doesn't get caught. Stryker doesn't send out a team to go and capture him. I mean, his powers are pretty cool. I'm pretty sure they would have been very useful in the Deadpool. But for some reason, Stryker just decided, he can go. It's fine.
Well, yeah, no, because think about it. If Deadpool had them powers, he could have just jumped off that smokestack and gone... But the biggest plot detail in this film that does not work is the love interest. It just ain't working. I ain't buying it. I ain't believing it. And a subplot of that is her death. That was so dumb.
And the payoff for it as well.
Oh, yes.
Was even worse.
We're here screaming in the woods. Wolverine runs up and he's like, oh no, the love of my life who I'm so emotionally connected to. Oh no. And then it's like, she's so fucking dead. Doesn't even check for any wounds.
You're not going to find any consistency with this film.
I'm fucking trying, mate.
Don't bother.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
So, what leads into this with his love interest is her powers could have negated the whole plot, made sure that none of it happened.
Oh yeah, because she's power of persuasion.
Power of persuasion. Yeah. Instead of going,
what the fuck is the point in this whole...
Here's none. Fucking elaborate ruse to make this woman fall in love with him, and he falls in love with this woman.
Which, I gotta say...
And then she fake dies.
This whole elaborate plan that Stryker made up is dumb in its own right, but the whole thing now can be avoided because Silver Fox, she has these powers of persuasion. It makes no fucking sense. No. There's no need to have all this extra...
She could have literally just done this.
Another plot detail is Agent Zero gets sent after Logan straight away to go kill him after being made indestructible. And he doesn't survive the encounter, killed by Logan in the helicopter.
Not Logan in a helicopter.
No.
He's in a helicopter and gets killed by Logan.
Just
in case you thought Logan was flying on the Gambit copter.
Thank you, Callum.
Just clarifying, people don't think it's the Gambit copter. That's all.
Immediately after the encounter that Agent Zero has with Wolverine, trying to take him down, the very next scene, Stryker's like, ooh, I have this box, adamantium bullets.
Oh shit, it'd have been a good idea.
Did not think to give Agent Zero, the only mutant in this film who's an expert with guns. You send him to run along, go take down Logan with some regular ass bullets, and then the very next scene you're like, oh okay, I've got these fucking magic bullets here. These bullets, I'm pretty sure, would have been made to obviously deal with Wolverine. So I'm pretty sure they would have been made as of recently. Maybe a little bit before Wolverine accepts the offer from Stryker and, you know, decides to have the adamantium put in him. Or maybe just a little bit after. I'm pretty sure these bullets weren't around 5 years before the events that take place. There's music in the film. It's pretty good, I guess.
Yeah. So, is this film worth watching?
This is a very dumb, fun, almost like action flick. Yeah, it's got all the little tiny references. It's got the terrible Deadpool adaptation. It's annoying that it's the first live screen adaptation of Deadpool. I think that's the saddest part about this. Going into this, obviously, we wanted to watch it. Leading up to Deadpool.
You wanted to watch this?
No. Leading up to this, we decided, yeah, we'll give it a watch. I had a little bit of fun with it. It was kind of cool to go back in time. Like, holy shit, this is actually the first live screen Deadpool and Wolverine. Callum, as someone who loves to absolutely just binge movies, would you say that it's worth adding it to your X-Men binge leading up to, say, Deadpool and Wolverine?
No. If you haven't seen this film, watch it once. If you have, you don't need to revisit it before Deadpool and Wolverine.
I kind of disagree, because you can have a little bit of fun with this film. Yeah, you can just put it on and turn your brain off. It's not a great film. I get that. And I agree with that. With the writing and the direction they wanted to take this, it just didn't flow.
So, look, when it comes down to it, we're not going to be able to persuade you to watch this film, not watch this film. It's a 15-year-old film. But, like, you know, I'll take back what I said. Going off what Kyle said, there's a little bit of fun that can be had with this film. It just depends how much time you have as a person.
Look, we're not going to sugarcoat this film. It's not great, but I had fun with it. Callum says that it's not really worth rewatching. But if you haven't seen it since it first came out, give it a watch. You'll probably fucking hate it like we did, but still, you'll have a better fun with it. There's obviously going to probably be some references in Deadpool and Wolverine to this film. I mean, it's pretty obvious that there will be. So I'd say, yeah, give it a watch, at least for Deadpool and Wolverine. Anyways, this is a look back on series, if you will. We're going to be talking about, obviously, Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2.
I thought we was doing...
It's Logan, isn't it? We hope you like this video. I don't know.
Do you want me to?
It's done. I feel like we're done.
Let us know what you thought of Video Mush. Cheers.